Okay, I have a finished weaving here that's ready to be taken off of the loom. And I want to thank Avery for letting me borrow her weaving to do this demonstration. Now, what you'll have once you're finished with your weaving, and if you are not finished, if you're not at this point yet, do not worry, you'll get there. But enough of us are ready that it's time for me to show you how to do this. You will have printed instruction for removal of the woven pouch, printed instructions. You'll also have a QR code that links to this video instruction so you can stop it and start it, pause and rewind as you need to. Now, the first step is to weave the end of the final weft thread into the fabric of your pouch and trim flush. And what I'm talking about there is this final weaving thread right here. This is the final weaving thread, and I don't want to just trim that because it could come unwoven being there on the edge. These in step 2, we're actually going to trim these, but this one on the very edge, we don't want to just trim it, we want to embed that within the weaving. And what we're going to do is, there is a channel here. I've tried to show you in the illustration, but right here, I'm going to put my needle through. I've got my finger on the back, so I'm making sure I'm not just poking the needle through the fabric. The channel it's actually the channel that the warp thread goes through. I am embedding my needle through that channel. You can almost see these little rays. These are like little channels within your weaving, little pockets that you've created with your over-under. Avery has a nice tight weaving, which is perfect. She's got this nicely compressed, and I'm going to go down probably about an inch, all right, through the weaving. Notice I don't even have anything on the needle because this was too short to like have on the needle and do this. So now I'm ready to put that thread through the eye of the needle, and I'm going to pull this thread through into the fabric. I'm going to embed it within the fabric. It's not just poked through on the other side. It is that needle is in that fabric. Now I can take this thread. I don't have an alligator handy. You could of course use an alligator. And I'm not going to tie a knot because I don't want the knot to have difficulty going through the channel. And now I'm going to pull this through that channel. I'm going to loosen this weaving, or spread that weaving back out. That is now secured within that weaving, and I'm trimming it flush, which just means like trim it to the surface. My final weaving thread is now secured. That's step 1. Step 2, trim any dangling weft threads. That's all these little guys. Now these I don't have to worry about embedding into the fabric because the pressure from this nicely compressed weaving is going to hold those in place. Again, it's only that little one that was on the edge. And here I am in fast forward, just trimming all those dangling weft threads, tidying up my bag for the final steps. I have now completed step 2. I've trimmed all the dangling weft threads, and I'm ready for step 3. Remove all the tape from my loom. These looms are one-time use, so don't worry if if it tears any of the cardboard off, comes off with the tape, that's fine. And I've got a little trash pile. We'll throw the looms away. These can only be used one time, and so I'm not worried about that. It is tricky to get the warp thread that's like inside here, the one that's can't see because of the shadows. So what I found is helpful is use your needle to get an edge on that tape and get that pulled up. But that one, there we go, can be a little tricky. Now I have my beginning, I'm just going to unhook those so you can see. I have, and here's in the illustration, my beginning and ending warp threads. These are the final threads I need to secure before I can take the whole weaving off the loom. And we're going to do the exact same thing that we did here with the final weaving thread or the final weft. This is a warp, all these are weft. So to do that, what I'm going to do, and it says, so now step 3 is done. Step 4, weave the ends of the warp thread into the fabric of your weaving and trim flush. Now, I say weave it because you could go like over, under, but it might show. So what I really like to do is, again, go through a channel. It's easier if you can like pinch it to hold so you make sure you're not just going through to the other side, to go through a channel that's close to where that warp thread is so that it's hidden inside the weaving so you don't see it. And then get that tucked in. And again, I'm going to go about an inch. You can go farther, but I wouldn't go any less than an inch. Get through this channel. I think I'm caught on a thread. There we go. Okay, so now I've got my needle through, but I don't have the thread on there yet. I'm going to now put the warp thread through the eye. Okay, now I'm ready to pull this through, and now that warp thread is secure. Trim that off. For this warp thread, it's tricky to do this on this one because you can't get to the other side of the fabric. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the best I can, but I'm going to actually wait to trim it. Here you can actually see the shine of the needle. You can see that where I'm going through. I'm going to do this one down to here. It's about an inch. I'm going to go ahead and do this one, but I'm going to wait to trim it just in case I poked it through. Here, if I were accidentally just poking through on the other side, it would be easy for me to know because I can have my fingers on both sides of the fabric. Here, I can't tell. So I'm actually going to wait to trim that. All right, that's step 4. Almost, I didn't trim that, but that's fine. I'm going to go ahead to step 5. This is where it gets really fun. Unhook the warp thread loops from the teeth and slide the pouch off the loom. So all these little teeth, these are just wrapped around, so I can fold these teeth down and just pull those loops off. And you'll see I just go along this whole top edge and slide those loops off the teeth, and then the bottom edge, slide those loops off the teeth, and then I'm ready. Okay, I have all of those pulled off. What I like to do to disguise those loops is loosen up this weaving. This is one of the nice things about having a nicely compressed weaving, is then it allows me to loosen that up so I have a nice beautiful finished fabric there on that edge. And now I am going to slide the pouch off the loom. This is the big reveal. So now the pouch is free. This loom will be trash. That goes to my trash pile. Now I can check and see that I did in fact go through that fabric. It's not just poked through on the other side. I can trim that, loosen this up for those warp threads. And I don't have this on, I left off this step on the instructions, but what I like to do is, I've got a beautiful bag here, but it's flat. If you want your bag to have a bit more body, you can turn it inside out. That will cause it to be a little more, it's hard to see with the lighting here. Let me do it on the side, you can see. It makes it just a little more puffed out. Just gives it a little more body, right, to your bag. So I like that as a step. Totally not necessary, but flip it inside out. And then final step, add a strap. And Avery told me she would like a white strap. This is so easy. What you do is on the edge, I'm going to take a little gather of threads on the edge of my bag here. Got my, I don't know, like maybe 4 or 5 threads deep. I'm going to poke this through and tie this string to the edge. I'm going to tie it, and I'm going to just double knot it here with this. 2 knots. I'm going to leave this string just tucked inside the bag there. Now I take the other end of the string, and the length of the string just depends on how long you want your bag strap to be. Some people like it short, some longer, totally up to you. And again, I talked through that. I gathered some threads, put that through, and you can see I'm in the process of then tying that in a knot, and I'm going to double knot it, and then this pouch is complete, ready to be worn. I will take your photograph with your bag, and then you'll be ready to take this home. And that's all there is to removing a woven pouch from the loom.